face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
Hello and welcome. I am Samia Mohammed and this is Pulse of Africa News. Stay with us for insightful coverage on the story shaping our region and beyond. The World Organization for Animal Health has urged stronger regional cooperation to protect East Africa's livestock sector, warning that growing threats are undermining one of the region's most important economic pillars. Dr. Baba Samore, WOAH Deputy Director General, said livestock remains vital for food security, trade and employment across the Horn of Africa. He noted that livestock supports millions of households, drives regional and international trade, and has long sustained rural economies through exports to markets such as the Middle East. But the sector is increasingly vulnerable to livestock disease, droughts, insecurity, and cross-border challenges.
The potential of livestock is huge for its contribution to food security, for its contribution to livelihood, for its contribution to employment, etc., etc. So in general, livestock has a huge potential, but in this region, particularly high potential. This region has a long tradition of exporting livestock. It is the main supplier of livestock to the Middle East and to many other areas. So it's an established system, very performing, which lead to several good outcomes.
Dr. Salmar emphasized that improving veterinary services is essential to preventing and controlling diseases outbreaks. He called for harmonized regional standards, legislation and certification systems to ensure the safe and efficient movement of animals across borders. He added that countries must invest in resilient animal health systems and sustainable farming practices, stressing that healthy ecosystems are the foundation of long-term livestock production.
Unfortunately, that huge potential is threatened by livestock disease, by drought, by security, by a number of threats and risks. And what countries in this region need to do is exactly what they are doing now, is to get together, to collaborate, to coordinate, to better strengthen their animal health system first. Because without strong veterinary service, you cannot prevent, detect early and control livestock disease.
WOAH continues to assist member countries by strengthening veterinary capacity, supporting disease surveillance, and setting international standards for safe trade. The organization says coordinated multi-sectoral action is crucial for safeguarding a sector on which millions of East Africans depend. The African Development Bank Group has granted full debt relief to Somalia after the country reached the completion point of the Heavily Indebted Poor Countries initiative. The approval clears all African Development Fund loans owed for 2024 to 2039, reducing Somalia's external debt by $17.68 million. The decision follows Somalia's progress on economic reforms, improved public financial management, and stronger revenue systems. The government also met key poverty reduction benchmarks by expanding basic services and social protection for vulnerable communities. AfDB officials said the debt relief rewards Somalia's sustained discipline and open space for investment in public services. They noted that citizens would see benefits across health, education, agriculture, and local markets. With fiscal pressure eased, Somalia plans to channel resources into infrastructure, service delivery, water access, teacher recruitment, and health system recovery in drought and conflict-affected regions. The relief also strengthens the country's creditworthiness and ability to attract concessional financing. Somalia's journey through the heavily indebted poor countries framework included clearing $122.6 million in arrears in 2020 and implementing reforms that enabled overall external debt to drop from $5.2 billion in 2018 to an expected $557 million after full creditor support. A group of prominent Afrikaners has rejected U.S. President Donald Trump's claims of white genocide in South Africa, saying his statements distort reality and fuel dangerous political narratives. The signatories, writers, academic, and business leaders argue that white Afrikaners are not under existential threat and warn that framing them as victims undermines social cohesion built since the end of the apartheid. They say Trump's allegations misrepresent crime in South Africa and reinforce racialized politics. The letter follows the Trump administration's plan to prioritize white South Africans for refugee admission and Trump's refusal to attend the 2025 G20 summit in South Africa. While some white South Africans have applied for asylum in the U.S., the group insists race-based refugee policy is unjustified and harmful. Government officials in Pretoria have also repeatedly dismissed the white genocide narratives as false. The authors maintain they represent a broader, inclusive Afrikaans-speaking community and reject attempts to claim a single voice for Afrikaners. Gambia has begun removing tankers falsely flying its flag as part of a widening crackdown on shadow fleet operations and fraudulent ship registries. Data from maritime analytics firm Windward shows at least 20 tankers are wrongly listed under Gambia in the IMO database, with dozens more believed to have obtained fraudulent certificates. Windward reports that Gambia's registry expanded rapidly after being outsourced to a private operator in 2023, with sanctioned and dark fleet tankers driving a surge from fewer than 40 vessels to more than 110 by mid-2025. Authorities are now reversing course amid concerns over weak oversight and illicit Russian oil shipments. The move mirrors recent actions by Comoros, which began deflagging more than 60 falsely flagged tankers in July. Gambia and Sierra Leone, both managed by the same Cyprus-based contractor, accounted for 40% of tanker calls at Russia's Baltic ports in October and early November, with falsely flagged ships contributing a further 19%. Windward warns that flag hopping remains widespread, with some tankers cycling through multiple registries within months to evade scrutiny. One vessel previously flying Gambia's flag has shifted to 5 different flags since February. Despite mounting international pressure, more than 550 sanctioned tankers remain active, supported by at least 17 fraudulent registries. Windward said Gambia's latest actions are significant but cautious that the dark fleet still operates faster than regulators can respond. Now to business news. South Africa's Vodacom Group has acquired a majority stake in Kenya's Safaricom in a $2.1 billion deal, buying 50% from the Kenyan government and 5% from Vodacom. The move gives Vodacom effective control of the East African telecom giant. The deal will raise Vodacom's stake from 35% to 55%, pending regulatory approval in South Africa, Kenya, and Ethiopia. Safaricom will remain listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Vodacom said the acquisition aligns with its Vision 2030 strategy to deepen leadership in high-growth African markets and expand its diversified portfolio. Safaricom's financial results will now be fully consolidated under international financial reporting standards. The transaction is expected to increase Vodacom's group's revenue to around 220 billion South African rand and strengthening its position in mobile, digital, and financial services across Kenya and Ethiopia. Vodacom CEO Shamil Joseph said the deal accelerates growth and financial inclusion, while Safaricom CEO Peter Ndagwa welcomed the continued partnership, emphasizing collaboration on innovation and regional expansion. Nigeria's central bank announced sweeping changes to its cash management policies on Tuesday, introducing stricter withdrawal limits and scraping fees on excess deposits and bid to curb cash dependency and tackle security and money laundering risks. Effective January 1st, 2026, individuals will be limited to cumulatively weekly withdrawals of 500,000 naira and corporates 5 million naira, the Central Bank of Nigeria said in circular to banks and financial institutions. Withdrawals above these thresholds will attract fees of 3% for individuals and 5% for corporates. The move marks the latest step in Nigeria's long-running push toward cashless economy following years of policy adjustments and enforcement challenges. The measure aims to moderate the rising cost of cash management, address security concerns, and reduce the potential for money laundering, the CBN said. In October, Nigeria and South Africa, sub-Saharan Africa's two largest economies, were removed from the Paris-based Financial Action Task Force list of countries subject to increased monitoring for illicit money flows. Special authorization for large monthly withdrawals of 5 million naira for individuals and 10 million naira for corporates have been scrapped, and exemptions for embassies and donor agencies removed. However, government revenue accounts and certain financial institutions will remain exempt. Banks must report transactions above limits and maintain separate ledgers for charge collected, the circular added. Moving on to sports news. Konami Digital Entertainment has been named the official gaming sponsor of the CAF Africa Cup of Nations for the 2025 and 2027 editions. The deal gives Konami exclusive rights to recreate the tournament in its e-football video game franchise. CAF General Secretary Veron Mosengo Omba said the partnership reflects CAF's commitment to innovation, global fan engagement, and creating opportunities for African youth in football and digital spaces. The sponsorship supports CAF's digital transformation strategy, enhancing fan experiences and promoting long-term football development across Africa. Konami senior executive Koji Kobayashi said the collaboration will bring African football to a global gaming audience, adding African star players and official tournament license to eFootball. The Total Energies CAF Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 will be held from 21st December 2025 to 18th January 2026. Let's review the latest forecast and see what weather conditions are anticipated throughout the region. That's all from Post of Africa News for the hour. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned for more updates from Africa.
El Dorado, a land of wealth, a future of limited possibilities. This is El Dorado. From natural rich to groundbreaking innovations, discover Africa's untapped potential. El Dorado, unveiling Africa's global potential.
The African Union, through its Agenda 2063, has envisioned an integrated and prosperous Africa. This vision cannot be achieved without the steadfast commitment of nation-states to harness energy. Power is the foundation of Africa's agriculture, industrialization, digitalization, integration, and overall development. No meaningful progress can be imagined in the absence of energy. Ethiopia, an Eastern African country, recognized this long ago and has been striving to build major power projects. Recently, it completed the construction of Africa's largest hydropower project, called the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. This $5 billion project had the capacity to generate more than 5,000 megawatts of electricity. Beyond meeting Ethiopia's domestic demand, the dam will supply power to neighboring countries, particularly in Eastern Africa. Ethiopia's resilience and determination are clearly reflected in the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which has become a source of pride for African nations. This week, journalists from IGAD member states traveled to the site of the dam. By the way, IGAD is an abbreviation that stands for Intergovernmental Authority on Development. It encompasses countries such as Djibouti, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, and Uganda. I joined these African journalists on their journey. Journalists expressed that the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam could serve as a source of inspiration for African countries. They emphasized that the project will act as a catalyst for regional integration and cooperation.
To me, I believe it can contribute to, strengthening diplomacy. In that, if countries can actually get electricity from Ethiopia, this will strengthen the relationship, and it can be able to help these countries exchange, the resources that they have. The friendship will be stronger between these countries.
I think this project is very beneficial, not just for Ethiopia, but for the entire IGAD region, because with this kind of a project, I'm sure Ethiopia will have enough electricity, not just for domestic use, but even to share with the neighbors, such as Kenya and Uganda, and we will have enough electricity maybe to enable us have a post-harvest storage of our agricultural produce, and even maybe for fishing. The blue economy will improve, not just here in Ethiopia, but also in neighboring countries. So it's quite impressive. It's quite impressive. And it's also something that other member states can learn from. In Kenya, we had a vision of constructing Aurora and Kimorer Dam. And now for Kenyans to see this, now they can actually relate and maybe be able to visualize President William Ruto's vision for the country as well.
We've been able to visit this dam. It is one of the largest dams in Africa continent. And I really want first to commend the Ethiopian government for the well done job here. Electricity is everything that we all need. Remember, not only for consumption, for local consumption, or for domestic consumption, but remember also when it comes to industrialization, it is a big thing. So with this dam here, with its ability to produce electricity, not only for Ethiopians, but also for the neighboring country, I hope that the Ethiopian government and its neighboring governments, neighboring countries, will be able to come to a conclusion, to an agreement on way out how they start importing these electricity so that it becomes beneficial to the neighboring countries. And I want to agree, it is a game changer, not only for domestic use, but it also goes a long way to industrialization.
Well, I feel it's such a good idea because aside from selling the electricity, we shall be promoting unity among all these countries. Because I spoke to one of the engineers, he said Kenya, they're also going to start selling to Kenya. That will really bring a big collaboration. And even other countries, because you can imagine, we Ugandans need a visa to enter Ethiopia. And I thought we are all East Africans, we are not supposed to be needing visas. We are supposed to enter my country freely with a good reason for a visit, and I'm supposed to enter your country freely. But this electricity idea is really going to bring about good collaboration. We shall even leave electricity aside and do other collaborations. Like it will. We shall source for more collaborations aside from this, but them selling power to neighboring countries, it's really, really good.
Power is source of life, because even when you look at the creation, God ensured that the second day He said, "Let there be light," because without light, most of our activity will not go through. It is because of the light now the camera is able to capture me. So the power will be a great use in South Sudan. It will be also creating a very good link relationship between South Sudan economically. Yeah. what I would say is, being connected by the same power, eventually you guys will be also connected in a term of relationship. It will create that, that friendly environment of cooperating, working together. So this one is a way of bringing people into one table to work together as the same region.
The backbone for development and for innovation is electricity. You need telecommunication, you need computers, you need and smart schools, smart education systems. You will need electricity to implement that. And some of the countries have an advanced electrical system, and geothermal, solar, but then it's not enough to run a country. So we need to borrow electricity from this project or similar projects in the future because of the Ethiopia's abundance and source of electricity. And with that, it creates an integration, it creates a unity between the member countries, because when one country solves an important problem of your country, that creates a bond that sticks and overcomes time.
The energy that the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is producing is instrumental in ushering development and prosperity in our region. And as you know, we are interconnected through our transmission lines to Kenya, to Djibouti, to Sudan, and through Kenya to Tanzania as well. And this energy interconnection will provide a platform for the countries to enhance their relations, their bilateral relations. By doing so, it will help the region's countries to further deepen their relations and usher cooperation.
The power it generates mainly is not only for Ethiopia, but also for all regional countries. You probably have seen it, 2 months ago, the president of Kenya were here, and others were also here, and they were interested to purchase power from Ethiopia. Through that, it facilitates and enhances the integration process of our region, and eventually it feeds into the African Union Agenda of 2063, where we envisage to see an integrated and prosperous Africa.
Indeed, Ethiopia is already exporting electricity to neighboring countries such as Djibouti, Sudan, and Kenya. Other Eastern African nations have also signed agreements to purchase Ethiopia's clean and affordable energy. The dam's significance also lies in its ability to challenge the long-entrenched notion that Africans cannot stand on their own feet.
Well, everything is about commitment. Where there's a will, there's always a way. And so Ethiopia invested so much in this project, not only to serve its own people, but to serve Africans as a whole. So this alone is the testimony that Africans can solve their own problems.
This is the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. It has been entirely and totally financed by the people and the government of Ethiopia. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is a testimony that Africans can realize and achieve big super mega projects.
We are the ones who understand our issues better, and sometimes we just need to sacrifice, trust our governments, and contribute that extra tax maybe, so that we finance such projects which will be beneficial not just for the current generation but for other generations as well, generations to come. So this is proof that we have our own solutions to our problems as Africans and for Africans in the IGAD region. This is proof now. People will just hear, oh, you have your own solutions, but you don't know how it can be done. But Ethiopia has shown us the way. Ethiopia has shown us how it can be done, that it's actually possible and it can be done and it will be beneficial to everyone.
It brings out the full potential that Africa has in standing on their feet. And if all of us can come together for unity of purpose, be able to push this agenda, Africa has all it takes to stand on its own.
I would have to first applaud your government, because using the taxpayers' money to do this big development, it's rare in African countries. This is really nice, and it will change the narrative. This will just increase it being known